Hello, my name isn't important, but my name is John Smith. And yes, I'm white. The story you are about to hear happened to me when I was 6. I'm a few years older now, but I'm still haunted by that very event. You may not believe me, but trust me, this is based on a true story. And to this very day, I still get flashbacks of the incident. And I have a crush on 9-foot goth girls. Who doesn't? So now, let's get into it. My experience with Sonic.exe. A long time ago, I was a huge Sonic fan. I begged my mom to buy me all the games. I would have posters of the blue blur in my room. I would also collect every plushie I can get my hands on. I had Sonic in Fortnite as well. And we cannot forget about the toys. I had a toy box filled with Sonic action figures, to the point where my mom told me to grow up and stop being a man-child. Little did she know, I wasn't her son, but a skinwalker in her son's body. At the time, Sonic was my whole personality. Every conversation at school was about Sonic. I never spoke about anything else but Sonic. Even on worksheets, I would write my name as Sonic. I got bullied because of this, of course. They would pant me in front of the baddie teachers and expose my Sonic underwears to everyone. I would cry and run home and tell my deadbeat dad about it. But he told me to get a beer and stop talking. So I got the belt and beat him silly. I told him to shut up and buy me more Sonic merchandise. He bought me more Sonic scissors. Everything. I beat him up for some lunch money, because I always used to threaten him with violence. Taught him a lesson he'll never forget. One day, while watching Sonic animations on my creamy tablet, I saw a video called Sonic.exe, CreepyPasta reading. I was curious about it. I wasn't aware of what that title meant. The thumbnail had a creepy image of Sonic crying blood. I was scared and pissed the bed, I'll admit it. But I wanted to see what this poo-poo was about. So I clicked the video, and a man with an attractive voice spoke, and I listened throughout the whole video, and I fell in love. I would always love to defeat Eggman, do good, be a hero, that kind of nonsense. But the thought of being evil, and seeing what Sonic.exe would do to his friends and Eggman, I fell in love. I grabbed my pet hamster and threw him out of the window. I grabbed the one Mario toy I had and took a big steamy poo on it. I was evil. I didn't care about being a goody two-shoes anymore. I knew my purpose in life, and it was to be a menace. And it was thanks to Sonic.exe. I grabbed each Sonic figure I owned, crossed out the eyes with a black Sharpie used to sniff, and added red eyes to make it look like blood. I was his #1 fan. For months, I was a menace at school. With my parents, the man in the closet, nobody was safe from my rampage. Sonic.exe turned me into a monster. One day, after smashing my grandma's ashes on the wall, my mom had enough and bought me a computer. I didn't thank her, proving that I'm evil. I turned it on, and the first thing I listened to was more Sonic.exe creepypasta readings on YouTube. I was living the life, you could say. One day, I was chowing down on some cherry pie. It was so good that I could die eating and I could be happy. I was clicking around my computer when I found MS Paint. I was already pretty decent at drawing and listening to mommy ASMR, so I knew what I had to do next. It took me no time to draw my lord and king, Sonic.exe, but I didn't know how to paint or change his colors, so he was stuck as a white guy. I like that. It made me think I made an original character. It was of course Sonic.exe, but I made him hold a knife. I was into horror movies at the time, so seeing him hold a knife was very badass and swag. I saved the drawing and called the file sickoness.exe, or just sickoness. I called it sickoness because I was a 6-year-old who didn't know how to spell, only destroy. I love the drawing so much, to the point where I'll admit that I love my art more than I love my parents. I knew they wouldn't care about my art, so I grabbed my hamster, which was named Monkey, and put him against the screen and showed him the drawing. He didn't care much. It was just looking around, sniffing. I got mad, and so the little guy got what he deserved. I tossed him out of the window again, and he flew into the road, where a car with 7 tires ran over him. 7 individual times. After the car drove past, he was flattened like a poverty pancake. I got out of my room through the window I threw him out of, and went back to the body. Knowing that I was evil, I smirked and rubbed my hands together. I grabbed his corpse and launched his little hairy self across the block. Afterwards, it was time for dinner. My stupid mom made me dino nuggets and some apple juice. I grabbed the nuggets and launched it in her face, teaching her a lesson on giving me processed carbs. After dinny din din, I went back to my computer to watch more Sonic.exe videos. I drew more fan art of EXE, and life was just perfect. An hour later, while getting ready for bed, I heard a loud scream come from the bedroom. My dad told me to turn it down, so I followed his command, not without stepping on his beta foot. What I saw on my computer screen was shocking, to say the least. It was an image, or what looked like a photo of my room. It was at a weird angle. It looked like a small person took the photo from my window. I chalked it up as my uncle taking photos of me again. But for the loud scream, I couldn't make a conclusion on it. I didn't have YouTube open, and it was just my computer's background open while I was getting ready for my Betty buys. I assume it was just the malware on my computer, just a virus being a useless good-for-nothing virus. I went on a lot of naughty sites back then, and clicked every ad I saw. So I assumed the scream was just that, the computer freaking out because of my poor choices. Later that night, I woke up in a sweat. My blankets were gone. I didn't think much of it, but I assumed I was moving aggressively in my sleep. I heard my mom peacefully sleeping, so I grabbed a bucket of hot water and poured it on her. I wanted to get ready for school early, because that stuff is some BS. If you feel my drift, you feel what I'm saying, Holmes? Same as any other day. Putting my shoes on, I heard my computer boot up. Its jingle scared me for a second. I stared at the screen. My password typed itself in without me doing anything. By the way, if you were wondering, my old password was Sonic.exe is my husband XX ... Nothing happened after the computer booted up. Just seeing my computer's background, it was sickoness again. The image just stared at me, and I stared back while in my Sonic undies. I turned off the computer, confused, wondering why it turned on and played a sound clip of a woman screaming earlier that night. I chalked it up as the malware. My 6-year-old brain couldn't come up with a reason why, or what caused that incident to occur. I tried my best to ignore the whole thing, go back to sleep. Hours later, I woke up to my computer flickering on and off. It was somehow logged in, and I saw the desktop background flickering on and off repeatedly. I got out of my Sonic bed, taking off my Sonic blankets, and walked tiredly to my computer. Shutting it off, confused once again. I started to assume that my computer was breaking, and the constant glitching and random pupils that kept occurring. It started to get to me, angering me. I grabbed the knife I kept underneath my pillow and went back to the computer screen and confronted it. I remember every word I said to it that night. If you keep acting like this, dear sir, I have no other choice but to vanquish you and end your rampage this instant. Do I make myself clear, distinguished gentlemen? It stopped flickering, so I assumed my threat got to it and made the computer fix itself. Or else it had to face my knuckle sandwich. I unplugged it and went back to sleep. Nothing else happened that night, except for me farting every minute. Because I woke up, and it smelled like my dead hamster's feces. I went to open the window, but as I went to do so, I saw another photo stuck to it. It was another photo of my room, this time from the ceiling. Again, I assumed it was my uncle taking even more photos and ignored his house arrest. I flipped off the image, threw it in the trash, ignoring the obvious threat. I started to get ready for school. My computer didn't freak out this time, but that didn't mean I didn't leave without smacking it a few times. I was still evil after all. The school day was boring, and I wish I was watching Sonic.exe creepypastas. I was angry that I had to learn useless things like history and math, so I grabbed my desk and threw it towards the teacher, teaching him for not allowing us to go in the computer lab. After convincing the teacher to let us go to the computer lab, I, of course, started watching more Sonic.exe videos. I sat alone, didn't have many friends. I liked it that way. I was evil after all. After a while of blasting the volume on the school computers, it happened again. The screen started playing loud screaming audio again, along with the photo of my fat little boy self in the computer lab. This time, I was starting to get a little spooked. I wasn't aware of what stalking was, or what could be taking the photo. I walked slowly out of the computer lab, because I was a meaty boy. Everyone was staring at the computer, trying to turn it off. But they were all stupid babies who didn't know how to do anything right. I left the room thinking about the whole thing, trying to comprehend it. Blah blah blah.
Hooray!
If you guys are enjoying the video, make sure to hit the subscribe button, subscribe, and press the like button. It supports me a lot. Because guys, I love you. You know I love you, right? Alright, goodbye.
As I'm walking through the hallway of the school, the thought hit me. Is Sonic.exe real? Why else would all these things occur? This all started after I got my computer and fell in love with Sonic.exe. Perhaps he's trying to get my attention and wants to Marry me? No, no, I said to myself out loud, embarrassing myself while roaming the hallways. I knew this was happening for a reason, but I couldn't figure out the purpose of why it was occurring. Oh no! I later ditched school. I walked home and broke a window so I can enter and give Sonic.exe a piece of my mind. A money cha-ching sound effect played as I stepped through the dark and empty house. I walked to my room and put on my Sonic socks to prevent Sonic.exe from tickling my feet. I also grabbed the knife I hid underneath my pillow. I knew it was time to face Sonic.exe and banish him back to Florida, where demons like him belong. Mwahaha. I booted my computer, ready for this lame bozo to fight me. The computer booted up slowly. It was like 1999 or whatever. And something was admittedly up. My background. The drawing I made of Sonic.exe was gone. It was just a white background. I didn't care. I started to flip off my screen, as if that was gonna offend Sonic.exe and anger him. My middle finger was long and disfigured, so it was pretty much touching the ceiling of my room, like the nose of an airplane. And also, here's my impression of Whisper from Yokai Watch. Oh, Nate! Don't make me get the blicky! I'm a straight up bad boy, Nate! 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 I can't go 5 seconds without the lean, Nate! That was a really good impression. My computer didn't do anything unusual. It was finally behaving, and I didn't need to give it 10 lashes across the cheeks. Got to a point where I forgot why I ditched school, why I broke into my home, why I turned my computer on. So I proceeded to turn it off, when out of nowhere, the computer wouldn't turn off. I continuously pressed the switch to turn it off. So I grabbed the hammer I also kept underneath my pillow and shouted this at the computer.
Listen here, pal. If you don't turn off this instant, you twat waffle, I'll give you a piece of my mind. Huh.
The screen finally shut off. I knew my threat got to it. I got up and did my victory dance. And while doing my victory jiggle, my computer booted back up. And it was Sonic.exe. The game. I slowly stopped dancing and looked at the hammer I was holding and threw it at my window. I walked towards my computer and sat it down and stared at the screen. It was Sonic.exe, the game I've been drooling over for the past few months. It was just sitting there. The title screen was playing the music I've been going goo goo gaga for. I wouldn't lie when I say I was kind of excited. I smiled for the first time in minutes. I started playing the game, sweating, ready for my Sonic.exe king. Yes, king, I said to myself, playing as Tails, waiting for Sonic.exe to show up and chase me. After a while of playing as Tails, Sonic.exe never showed up. I was running in the bloody fields for what seemed like forever. So after a few more minutes of doing nothing but running in the green hill zone as Tails, I went to the kitchen and got up to 23 bags of chips. After devouring my snack, I returned to hear chase music. I quickly threw my processed chips away, knowing I can finally see my Sonic.exe king. I sat there and waited. But something else finally came to chase me. It was dun 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 sickoness. I screamed and ran off as Tails. I felt the blood running through my fat, blobby veins. He was just staring straight at me instead of looking at Tails. I was clueless. How did the PNG get in the game? And why did he replace Sonic? Eventually, sickoness caught up to Tails. I was expecting a screamer to pop up, but it was just another image of sickoness. This time, he told me to dire. I was offended. I told him to fart off. He screamed and flickered repeatedly and said, bananas, pellets, veggies, treats. I was just naming off random foods. The screen went black for a few seconds. So I had a little time to think. Why did my drawing of sickoness chase Tails? And why did it mention random snacks? And why am I currently pooing myself? I couldn't think for that long. Now it was Knuckles' turn to be chased. I was nervous, but I had no other choice but to keep moving. The section was the same as usual, but the messages that flashed on screen were different. The first one said, sniff, sniff, sniff. A few minutes later, another message popped up on the screen and said,
Window. Car. Road. Sniff, sniff.
I couldn't put it together. I continued playing Knuckles' segment. One flash appeared on the screen. It read,
Kibble.
thankfully, I failed ELA more times than I can count, so I couldn't pronounce or understand what kibble was supposed to mean. Eventually, sickoness caught up to Knuckles. I tried to fight back against the PNG, but Knuckles is too much of a B-word to touch him. Another gangster dead. One left, the screen said, scaring me while I wiped the sweat off my face. Finally, it was Eggman's time to die. I was equally nervous. Eggman was my second favorite character due to him being evil as me. IRL. Here's a PNG of Eggman if he was a black gentleman. Very scary, I know. Eggman's segment was almost the same as it usually is, but something did happen out of the ordinary. The poop that I recently made in my pants started to slip out and plop on the floor. Thanks a lot, Sonic.exe. Very cool. I hope you come out of the game and clean up the mess. The poop on my bedroom floor. I felt as if Eggman's segment was going on forever.
For being my second favorite character, you sure do have the worst segment.
I said to myself while stuffing my mouth with Sun Chips. Yeah, they're the best chip brand. Go ahead and fight me. I live on Gangster Row, 123 Street. Anyways, Sonic.exe caught up to Eggman, killing his round table body self. Afterwards, instead of seeing the Sonic.exe I am God message flash on screen, it was sickoness again, but it flashed a different message on the screen. It said,
Vegetables.
then it finally clicked in my head. Who else devoured all the vegetables my mother forced me to be healthy? Who else ate kibble and sniffed all the time? My stupid hamster, Monkey. The guy I threw onto the road and became roadkill. He somehow became my Sonic drawing, sickoness. I assume his soul was transferred to my computer. And if you're hearing this message, Monkey, screw you for haunting me. Anyways, after the message ran its course, my computer shut off. for good this time. But I knew my battle with my stupid hamster wasn't over yet. I heard static come from my TV, so I slapped my diaper just like Jeffy and walked towards the living room with the hammer in my hand. The fat 90s television my dad forced us to keep was turning on and off repeatedly, and I knew it was Monkey causing this. I knew what I had to do next. I went to the kitchen and grabbed a bag of snackies. My favorite flavor was grape. After my fatty snacky break, I went back to the TV and smashed it with my hammer. After smashing it, a loud scream was heard. Imagine the scream of a white girl after seeing the official ending of My Hero and Deku not hooking up with Bakugo. That kind of scream. I used to my damage sickleness, so I waited for him to transfer to another screen and kept waiting and waiting. It seemed as if he effed off, so I sat on the couch, slowly, to avoid the spot my dad sat on. It smelled like sadness and yummy 50-year-old farts. After sitting down, I wanted to take a nap. I knew once my parents got home, I was gonna get grounded for 637583759 years. I closed my eyes and finally felt at ease. I heard another scream from somewhere in the house start flickering static, but I tried to ignore it. But I should have smashed it before it was too late. I kept trying to ignore it, but it wouldn't stop flickering. It sounded as if it was coming from my parents' room, so I slammed my parents' door down. I was too lazy to hit the screen of whatever the static was coming from. I went back to the couch to rest before I get grounded by my fat father. Another nap later, I've woken to hear the flickering static finally stop. I felt relieved. Relieved knowing that sickleness finally F-word off and left me alone. Unfortunately, looking back on it, I wish I weren't a fat, stubborn, evil boy and smashed that screen. Soon after the static stopped, I heard a smash. A sound as if the screen was smashed. I was scared for the first time in seconds. I couldn't move. I was frozen, stuck, terrified of what could have happened next. I heard my parents' door open. Slowly, so slow, it started pissing me off. Finally opened. I didn't hear any footsteps, but what I saw instead still scares me to this very millisecond. It was sickleness. Sickleness's stretched arm, reaching from throughout the living room. It looked 2D, yet 3D, yet 4D, yet 5D at the same time. I was perplexed, seeing his hand reach out for me. It was almost kind of beautiful in a way. I just couldn't explain. After enough glazing, he grabbed me gently, not in a rough way like I thought he would, and he just took me into my parents' room. And he forcefully shoved me into my dad's secret bathroom television. I couldn't fit at first, since I was doughy and round. His hand kept slamming me into the screen, trying to fit me through the TV. It hurt like my mommy spanking me. After a few minutes of slamming, he finally got me into the screen. His world. It resembled Green Hill Zone, but if someone sketched it, bit by bit, hill by hill, flower by flower, hairline by hairline. He kept me in his grip, not letting me go. After his long arm showed me another of his world, He brought me back to himself. I wasn't sure how his arm was able to reach so far, but when I was finally near him, he stared at me, looked at my chubby white ball self for a good 5 minutes. Then he finally spoke. He told me to die her and slammed me into the ground and started jumping me. His beating went on for about 10 minutes. I was beaten to a pulp, and to finish it off, he grabbed me by the collar and said, "Die her one last time." And somehow, he turned me into a Green Hill Zone flower. He gently planted me into the ground, poured some water on my head, and awkwardly walked away. And ever since then, I've been stuck in his world. And each day, he'll give me some water, make sure I was in the sunlight. And if not, he'll plant me in a different spot to make sure I get my needed sunlight. I'm not sure if this is supposed to be a punishment, or if Sickoness is genuinely caring for me. I still don't know, nor do I understand. But what I do know is that this is my life now. Stuck, planted in the ground. This is it for me. I mean, I'm not really mad at being a plant for Sickoness.
And at the end of my experience with Sonic.exe, I'm still a flower to this very day.
Writing down the script, I don't know what Sickoness does after he gives me my daily dose of water. He could be kidnapping more gangsters like me. Or worse. He could be doing nothing at all.